Awesome.
All right, welcome everybody. So I'm here with Sai Lee. A lot of know this guy for quite a long time. Or I'll just start. Sai, would you like to just introduce yourself real quick? I have a little introduction for you as well. So
For sure. So, yeah, my name's Sai. I am a real estate coach and consultant. And basically, what I do is I specialize in helping just your average 9 to 5 person create wealth, build, financial freedom through real estate because I truly believe that real estate, it is the number one investment vehicle in order to do that.
yeah, and I know you started out flipping houses. You've had 27 total in a market. You have a mortgage business of your own. You're also a client of the 10 loans a month program, which is an amazing program for mortgage brokers to thrive. So tell us a little bit about your programs, what you have right now. I know you teach students. You're the CEO of Flip for Profits as well. Tell us a little bit about that and how you got started there.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the it was kind of weird because I've always had this experience of, flipping houses, using none of my own money. Um, and then I got involved in the mortgage business and I kept seeing people come to me and they were like paying for all these courses and stuff. And I hate to say it, like they got burned. Okay. Like there's some good coaches, good programs out there. I'm not saying they're all terrible. But anyways, as a mortgage agent, I had to refinance a lot of these individuals. And the one guy was like, "Hey man, can you teach me to do what you do?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Let's figure something out." And so I ended up taking him under my wing. He ended up going and doing like a flip and pretty much almost made like six figures in his first 6 months. So he
Wow.
pushed me to do it, Sam. He was like, "Hey man, you're crazy. Why aren't you teaching the world this side? Like of all the training programs, everything that I've been through, yours was most simplest and it worked. So why aren't you teaching the world this?" And and then like people kept coming to me about it as well and kept pushing me to go out and do it. And so I just said, "Yeah, why not? Why am I not teaching people how to do this?"
That's incredible because a lot of people need that inspiration, that information to make the next step. What do you do to empower your students to take that next step, to be inspired to take action as well, right?
Yeah. So what I found interesting was because I'm also a mortgage coach as well. Like I teach brand new mortgage agents in the industry and stuff. So my kind of niche, who my ideal client is people that are new, like new to any business. And what I always found was that you can give them all the tips, tricks, you can give them all the strategies and stuff, but there's a very specific skill you need to have as a coach in order to help them get past like their limiting beliefs and get past their fears and stuff. Like that's just a really crazy weird skill to have. And I got a lot of feedback from my students and stuff and said, "Sai, you're really good at it." And this is why, like my students are the ones that kept pushing me to go and do it. And so I find that's kind of like the difference between, people that are like really good at what they can do. They can execute really well, but they can't teach. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
So someone having like a limiting belief, we'll say like turning into unlimiting truth. So what do you do to get them to break them through that? It could be old programming or just, you're like a real teacher. You've done it. You're not a fake teacher, is what Robert Kiyosaki says. Could you add to that? How do you do that for these students?
Yeah. So I get to really know my client first because every individual is different. Like they have their own limiting beliefs, their own fears, their own, and especially, like I'm a perfect example of that. When I started investing in real estate, I came from IT corporate, man. Like I did my whole life. I sat in front of a computer doing emails, never picked up the phone to call a single individual ever. So I'm like, hey, if I can change over time and I have no problems now picking up the phone, no call reluctance, whatever. Like, trust me, the average person who's afraid of picking up the phones, talking to people, they can do it as well. It's just knowing what your client is, where they're starting, and then helping them get to where they need to be. And everybody's personality is a little bit different. They're all driven and motivated by different things. So that's the key.
So you find their motivation, you show them that you're a live example, a shy guy who worked in corporate, which I'd love to dig into your story a little bit because I think it's inspiring. You've said it before on other interviews, but I think it's really inspiring for someone who needs to break through that corporate bubble, right? That way of thinking.
That's right.
How did you transition out of that? Because, I know we did that training program together, which is, to be named, but definitely brought us to a different mindset. But how did you break out of that corporate world? Because you had a pretty good paying job. On paper, life was good, right? The weekends were
Yeah.
all right. You went out for chicken wings and all that stuff. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, number one, and I'm a big believer in this, okay, is that look, if you pay for something, you will pay attention. Like that's the reality, like everybody that wants stuff for free, there's a reason why coaches and consultants charge you money, people. It's not because we're being greedy or anything. It's because we don't want to waste our time with people that don't pay attention. That's the
Yeah.
reality. And just like, that program that you mentioned, Sam, like we paid money for that.
Mhm.
Okay. It was expensive. We paid for it, but
Yeah.
that's what got us excited and motivated because we were invested,
Yeah.
right? We were invested and I felt like I was invested and I saw this other side that I'm like, wow, I can't even believe this world existed. And I want a piece of that. And I will do whatever it takes to learn the skills, the habits, everything to become that other individual that I'm seeing on the other end. Right.
Yeah.
So that's
Absolutely.
how I kind of got over it. It just comes down to look, are you willing to invest in yourself and how bad do you want it? Because the human being, I believe they're just capable of so much more. They don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you went past from interested to committed, right? Like you decided,
Yes.
you went in and said, okay, I'm going to take action. And I think it was a big mind shift because there was a lot of things about wholesaling and about creating money without having the traditional means of just having to have money or a specific job. Like you're creating income from opportunity.
That's right. And I can tell everybody right now, if you're listening to this, it's never about the money. Okay. It's never about the money. Nobody's motivated by money. I was never motivated by money. It's actually what can you do when you have the money?
Absolutely.
That's the most important piece. If you
Yeah.
can see and you have something bigger than that, than the money, trust me, you can make stuff happen.
Yeah. It's that you said the motivation behind the money. So I know you say you're really excited right now. Obviously you're in the money world. You understand that. You understand how financing works, makes you really well rounded. You've invested. What keeps you up at night in an exciting way to just go out and get up and do it again? Like what excites you the most about doing this?
For me, I am, I guess you can say, I'm like a builder, Sam. So I love building stuff, man. It's fun. It gets me excited. It keeps things fresh. It keeps things new, man. That's what I love doing. Like I just can't do the same thing over and over and over. It gets dull. It gets boring. When I entered the mortgage industry, within the first 24 months, I was already in the top 20%. And then you get bored of it, man. It's like, what do I do next? So
Yeah.
that's what keeps me going all the time. I just love building stuff. It's amazing what's available out there if you look for it. And that's what keeps me going all the time.
And I actually was listening to a success story, if you could share it, about one of your students. They made $64,000 in the matter of, what someone makes in about a year sometimes. Tell me about that success story. How did that go? And tell me a little bit about that. That was really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. So again, that's like a student that I've been training for a couple years now. And we've been kind of like, when I started, I was giving him a lot of attention. Then he kind of just went out on his own. We do connect once in a while. He came back to me and I had a challenge for him. I'm like, look, man, how's your business going? He's like, you know what? It's been a little bit slower, but maybe just because I've been taking my feet off the pedal. I said, look, man, let's do a challenge. Okay. So I give him a challenge. I'm like, just do a challenge. This is what you need to do. And I challenge you to do it. He goes out and he does it, Sam. And it was crazy, man. Like within 60 days, he calls me back and he's just like, guess what, man? I just found a property. It's like literally 70 cents on the dollar. In
Wow.
like, this is a $700,000 home in like $1 million neighborhood. Those are the comparables. As is, needs no work, nothing. And I'm a big believer that look, you can go buy real estate with $10. Okay. So the guy goes, $10 deposit. We flip this property so fast before it even goes anywhere else. And anyway, somebody ended up paying him about $64,000 for that contract. So
Wow.
yeah, from start to end, we were done the deal in about 5 hours. And of course, when you got something at 70 cents on the dollar, trust me, it's going to move fast.
Wow. That's incredible. What a great story. And he's working in corporate world. Is he sort of transitioning as an investor? What's it look like
He
for
actually
him now?
retired corporate world.
Wow.
Yeah, he retired corporate world to do this full time because man, it's crazy, right? Like one deal,
Yeah.
$64,000. He's
That's
like, Sai,
incredible.
why am I busting my butt 52 weeks a year 40 hours a week to do this. Like I just need to do 1, 2 deals a year. I'm good.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Robert Kiyosaki, right, in the book Fake, right? People working for fake money that's going down in value, right? Like use the fake money to buy real assets. I think that's such a great thing you're doing. So with building wealth in real estate, why is real estate such a great vehicle in your mind to build wealth and, you know, long-lasting wealth as well?
Well, because it just dawned upon me when I was in corporate. I'm like, hey, look, if I want to retire from my 9 to 5 corporate job, what's the quickest way to do it? And then I looked at stocks. I looked at buying businesses. I looked at trading options, man. And then I just came across real estate. I'm like, why does everybody always like, why does it always end up being real estate ultimately at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Right? It's because, well, 90% of millionaires invest in real estate and all their zeros, they multiply. So I'm like, the only way I can quit my 9 to 5 as quick as possible is to go flip as many houses as possible so I can build a huge bankroll as quick as possible. And then I can just lend it out at a higher rate. And it just made sense to me, right? Hey, go and flip the most expensive thing that anybody's ever going to own because I promise you the zeros, they multiply. Okay. That's why.
That is incredible. So, and you have a master class as well, which I checked out. I thought it was awesome. Do you still have that? And we can definitely link that in the show as well.
Definitely. You
Or
can
even a
link
community. I
the
think you have some live training as well on Facebook.
pardon me.
You have some live training on Facebook, I believe, as well.
I do. I have a free Facebook group. Those are for like rookie real estate investors. They don't know where to start. They want to get some cool free information. There's no charge there at all. You could put the link in that if you want, Sam. Just
Yeah.
it costs you nothing. I do have a masterclass as well. I sell out every single month. Okay. It sells out within 72 hours all the time. And for the month of April, I actually have a wait list. So I will put a link. I will give you the link as well. If anybody wants to get on the wait list, that's cool. You will get first priority if you sign up for the wait list so that I can let you know when the next launch is going to be.
That's incredible. So you inspire these students to take action. You know, they have success stories. They've transferred out of corporate. You're a great example to that. What else are you doing to inspire them? And when you're thinking about your future self right now, like you're right now in this moment of time, what would you tell the younger Sai that you didn't know back then? Like, what would you teach the younger Sai, or even your son as well?
Yeah,
What
I
kind of
would
thing?
teach the younger version of me that, you know what? If you're going to do anything in life, I promise you, there's one skill that you need to work on, and that skill is communication. Because I promise you, the better you can communicate, um, like communication is one of those key skills that's universal in every single business. If you wanted to be a real estate agent, a mortgage agent, a coach, a consultant, a financial advisor, I promise you, the people that communicate the best make the most money.
Yeah, I remember when we sat down a long time ago at a coffee shop. You're like, Sam, let's do some sales 101. And I said,
Yeah,
where do we start? I said, needs analysis. We got to figure out the needs of the client, right? What do they really need? What's their awareness of what they need? How can we solve a problem? And then what can that solution provide to them, right? To solve their problem, right? Yeah.
exactly. And I know you're a master of communication as well, Sam. Like,
Oh, thanks.
man, I've seen some of the stuff you do, the scripting, everything. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is why we both have the same mindset, because it is really a key ingredient to success.
Absolutely. So what's next for you? And like when you, and as well, I like to have a two-part question here. What's next for Sai? And as well as when you're mapping out a client's goals. So let's say they said, I'd like to retire from my 9 to 5. I make this much. How do you reverse engineer their portfolio or what they need to do to get into that? So creating that why and that what they need to do around the why to make that happen.
So I keep it really simple. Like even all my businesses, I keep it as simple as possible. That's the key because the more complexity you add into your business, I guarantee you all you're going to create is overwhelm, a lot of stress and anxiety. Okay. Keep it real simple. If you ever see my system, you're going to be like, wow, that's it. Like it's that simple. Yes, because I'm all about you need to master like the foundation, the basics first, and then you can build on top of it. Right. A lot of real estate investors, when they come to me, they're always trying to do like 10 strategies. I'm like, why? We start with the main foundation because that's the one that builds the business. Right. And that's key. Like when I bring in a new client, if I give them too much, they're not going to get motivated. They're going to be
Yeah.
like, well, I can't learn this. This is like, I'm not smart enough to learn this. Yes,
Mhm.
yes, you're smart enough, but let's give you it in bite-sized chunks. Let's keep it simple. Let's optimize it. Okay. And then let's figure out what you want, because we always start with the end number in mind. Fine, you make $100,000 in your 9 to 5. Great. Let me show you how to make $100,000 off 2 flips, maybe off 1 flip. And then let's figure out how many leads, how many calls and all that we're going to have to make in order to
Okay,
make
I
that
see.
happen.
So it's
Yeah.
like a business plan as well as you're creating an active stream of income through real estate, which they don't need a lot of money for, if any at all.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And like I said, real estate, man, the zeros, they multiply, dude. Like I said, you know what? You can spend 2 hours of your day doing it.
Yeah.
You don't need to spend 40 hours a week doing real estate, man, because the zeros, they just, man, they multiply like crazy.
So what are some key strategies that you recommend if someone's getting started? They would like to build wealth in real estate or just in general to create a better life, as we mentioned, that's going to fund their perfect life. What are a couple things that someone could do right now to just get started or at least kind of break through to that next step?
Yeah. So number one, if you can qualify for a mortgage, okay, the best thing you can do, don't worry about the cash flow. Don't worry about the expenses. Don't worry about tenants. Don't worry about all that. There's always a solution to fix all those problems, okay, and all your worries. If you can qualify for a mortgage, you need to go and buy your first investment property or your second or whatever. You need to leverage out your buying power to the maximum. The reason why is because later on, as you build equity, the more leverage you have, the higher your chances of success will be when you start getting into some more advanced strategies, because now you got credit available to you, you got equity available to you, you got money that you can turn and use that and make it work for you now. Okay, but if you start with no house, no extra property, nothing, yeah, you're going to be at a disadvantage. You'll be like way behind all the other real estate investors. But yeah, when you qualify for a mortgage, you gotta go and buy a house. Keep it simple. Hire a good real estate agent or something. Keep it that simple. Don't even overthink it. Just go and buy something. So the goal is to leverage that and help you build even more wealth. Because the whole game is, let's use the bank's money to go make more money.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell clients all the time, like, and actually, if you could touch on a little bit how banks perceive risk, because in our buildmylegacynow.ca, I'll link that as well. That talks a lot about that. Can you share that a little bit more about how banks perceive risk and how real estate could be actually a better opportunity just based on how much you're putting in and how much the bank is?
Absolutely. So if I was to put it in the most simplest term, it goes like this. Look, why do you think the banks put their money into real estate? Right? And everything that has to do with financing, when you go get a mortgage, ask yourself a question. Why is the bank asking for all these documents? Why is the bank only giving me this much money based on my income, based on the loan to value, all that? Because banks, they like to invest in assets where they will never lose. Okay. They don't like to take risk. That's why it's not easy to go and get a mortgage. Okay. Because banks don't like to take risk. So that's why they put all their money into real estate. If you want, and the banks are in the $1 billion business, so why don't we just be the banks? Like do what the $1 billion businesses are doing. Don't have to recreate the wheel. But I guarantee you, if you go and walk into a branch and then you tell them, you say, look, I want to invest in financial, like your traditional investments, mutual funds, RSP, and all that. Will you lend me money? Okay, bring in your number one financial planner. I've got 100 grand. I've been a great client for the last 30 years. I've been loyal. I'm gonna put $100,000 into this traditional investment. Will you lend me like 80% of that? Will you give me 400? They will shut the door on you.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because they're putting their money into real hard collateral assets that are safe, assets that are, like there's actual collateral that we register the money on. That's where the banks put their money. Don't try to recreate the wheel. Keep it simple. Let's do what the banks do.
Awesome. So help them build a portfolio, at least start with a property in a market they probably know. Keep it simple
Yep.
and create a plan, a business plan. And then it seems like that active income they're gonna understand the communication and skills to build active income. So then they can fund that real estate. So then they could eventually leave their job and create more passive income and grow their wealth that way. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's excellent. So what's next for you, Sai? I know you're working on a lot of things. You're on a lot of different podcasts, popular guy, which is awesome. What's next for you? What I know you have another course or another launch coming up.
Yeah, so like I said, I love building. I love upgrading my skills all the time. I think it's just fun. Like, look, I do what I say. Okay, I constantly invest in myself all the time. You wouldn't believe how much money I spend on just upgrading my skills. And so, what's next for me is definitely I'm putting a lot more energy, time, and money into my coaching company, for sure, for the next 6 months. And at the same time, I am learning a lot more about marketing. Okay, marketing online, because I built all my businesses without ever advertising or spending a dollar. Okay. So it is an area that I am getting myself into. I love to learn about it. So I think it's going to be fun, man. And we'll see what
Awesome.
happens.
We'll make sure we link the show notes. And if you were to say your top one or two core values, which I think kind of drive your behavior and what you do, whether it's, creating impact or whatever, what are those for you? And how do those show up in your everyday, how you show up every day as well?
Yeah, well, one of the main ones is definitely just, you know, I always ask myself, look, and this is kind of harsh and blunt, okay? But I always ask myself, look, if I only had 6 months to live, okay? Every single day, right? If you think about it, if you only had 6 months to live, and every single day when you show up, would you be the best version of yourself? Would you even care what people think?
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I do business. I'm just like, who cares what people think? I'm gonna show up always being the best version of myself as if I had only had 6 months to live, man. And at least if I only had 6 months to live and I was on my deathbed, I could ask myself a serious question and say, look, Sai, did you give it your all, or did you just waste your time making up excuses and stuff?
That reminds me of a great conversation. I remember it was with Diana, and she said, Kokoska, she's like, I want to make sure that I didn't waste the potential that, universe or
Yes.
God or whatever gave me, right? Like, we're all made here to do something great, right? To have an impact. So I think you're impacting a lot of people, and I think it's amazing what you're doing.
Thank
Um,
you, Sam.
yeah, empowering them, because real estate's such a great vehicle, especially with, you have stories, you have ways to impact these young investors thinking about money differently. One question I had too is, how does the current corporate structure, what do they not teach about money that you had to learn as well? Because I know that that's a big thing. Like, there's a lot of limiting mindsets around. I think it's intentional, but share with me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, like whether it's corporate or not,
Or not. Yeah.
I think that when you go to school, okay, when you go to school, look, the truth is you go to school to learn how to work for other people. Like
Traditional. Yeah.
I hate to
Traditional
say it
education.
that way,
100%.
but it's the truth. Okay. Like it's crazy. I was talking with a friend just like a couple months ago, and he told me the same thing. He's like, man, I can't even believe it. I'm literally this much below the boss, and the pay scale is like so different. It's literally just this much behind the CEO and the owner, and the pay scale is that different. Okay, like
Yeah.
crazy, because obviously school taught us to go and earn a skill so we can use that skill to go make someone else rich.
Pretty
But
much.
I'm not going to say everything bad about school and
Yeah.
the
I get it.
corporate world, but what is good about school is this, is that school is what teaches you discipline, and it teaches you it's that social aspect of it that's important.
Mhm.
But the skills that we're taught in school are not high paying skills. So they're skills that are basically going to be eaten up by inflation, man. So you're way
Yeah.
better off going and learning a high paying skill that's actually going to kick inflation's butt.
Yeah, it is a skill-based economy, right? Like, rather it's not only real estate that's hedging inflation, but also skill-based, right?
Yes.
What skills do you have to hedge against inflation? When you, or just in general with cost of living, so when things kind of settle and people maybe forget, if the economy gets a little bit better again and people forget, what would be the reason, or why should they think about real estate still as far as helping them in their future and hedging against inflation along with skills, like you mentioned too?
Well, yeah, that's the exact point right there is, I it's crazy. I talk to financial advisors about this all the time. And hey, man, they'll never admit to their clients, but they tell me all the time. They're like, Sai, I get it, man. You're a real estate guy, I get it. And you know what? Straight upside, it's the only way to beat inflation is by owning real estate. And that's coming from financial advisors, okay?
Wow.
So that's exactly it. Like, dude, I'm telling you, like with the cost of everything going up, I'm in the mortgage industry. I see like I see these things firsthand with the things of cost going up, how much people actually have available to them and stuff. It's crazy, man. Like, I really truly believe that, look, if you're not going after wealth, financial freedom, if you're not interested in real estate, just go and buy something because that's the only way you're going to beat inflation. If you don't want to go and learn a high paying skill, go buy a house, hire a realtor. They're free. Okay. It's not going to cost you anything to work with a realtor and they will do the work for you, which is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Someone who understands the market, your goals, your strategy. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when it comes to a property, let's say someone has a few properties, are you a buy and hold guy where you say, I'm going to hold on to this? Or is there a potential scenario where you think they should sell to maybe upgrade their portfolio or something that they're not able to service that? When do you think it would be a good time for someone to sell a property in your mind, just based on being an
Yeah,
investor?
it just depends. Like everybody has their own personal financial plan. That's why some people are a lot more patient than I am. So you know me, Sam, I'm like the most least impatient investor ever. I'm all about the quick cash, the quick bucks. But hey, nothing wrong with holding it long term because straight up, if you hold it long term, you're just gonna make more money long term anyways, right? Every single person will have a different plan. That's all it is about. And some people have that patience. I don't because I'm just a shaker and mover. I'm always moving and doing things. That's why. But if you just wanted to set it and leave it 10 years, nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, you can't even go wrong with holding something for 10 years because I've never met a
Yeah.
seller that was upset that they bought a house 10 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Never had I just said nobody,
Yeah, I know we had a client that did a triplex conversion and just the mindset of around, he has one family paying for the house. He's converting it. Three families are paying for the house now.
Yeah.
So he's three times his OPM, other people's money, and the wealth growing from potentially something that's 500,000, 600,000 to 1.2. Now is that asset's being paid by other people,
Yes.
so he's grown his wealth quite a bit, and it's not only about wealth, but it's about what that can do, right? So what lifestyle could that fund for, if a family member goes unwell or you need to take care of someone. I really think that's super important. So
Oh, it'll pay for all the bills. Yeah.
yeah. So if someone's looking to start building and talk about buying one property and doing a combination of activities to create active income, what are some other things someone can do to at least get into the business and they make a transition plan to maybe do real estate full time?
Yeah. Listen, if I would say if you can qualify for a mortgage, get connected with an awesome realtor that understands investment properties like yourself, Sam. I'd highly suggest someone connect with you. You obviously like you know what you're doing when it comes to this kind of stuff already.
Nice.
Why recreate the wheel, right? If you can qualify for a mortgage, go that route. If you want to get at this full time, you want to get into some more very advanced strategies, or the bank's not going to give you any more money, that's where I come in because I basically show people how to go and buy, build a portfolio, flip all that using none of their own money. So that's what I do because obviously there's going to be a point in time where the banks aren't going to give you any more money.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because then you have a power team to figure out, okay, when do you go in your name, corporate structure, hold companies, property, all that stuff. That could all be done, but take that first step, to start building your wealth and building your life essentially, right?
Absolutely.
I love what you said too. Like if you knew that your neighbor's house was for sale 20 years ago, would you have bought it? And the
Yeah.
answer is always yes.
I've never met a seller who was sad who bought a house 10, 20 years ago. Okay. And if they are,
Yeah.
they can call me. I'll buy
And
it.
all our sellers and clients that have a decent amount of wealth or they're doing things that they want to do in their life later, they have those properties that were paid for by someone else. And now it's all cash flow. And now they're using it to do what they want to do, whether it's retire in Costa Rica or just, lead a life that they design. So great.
That's right.
Sai, where can people reach you? I'll have your show notes as well.
Yeah, they can go to my website. It's just fliprealestateforprofits.com. So it's plural, fliprealestateforprofits.com. They can go there. If they sign up there, get on the wait list. I will reach out to them. It's that simple. And yeah, that's it. Best way to reach me.
Awesome, Sai. We appreciate you. Thanks for all your impact and great knowledge today. Appreciate it so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here, Sam.
Thanks, brother. You take care.